We're back, and Michelle, obviously you write, because you live something and you write it, and I know you were part of. I read or I heard you say a writing group that was called. I hope I get this right. No Direction, Anything Goes, or something like that.
Yeah, Artistic New Directions.
A new direction. I thought it said Artistic No Directions when I was listening to the podcast a little bit, and I thought.
Yeah.
So, but that whole Anything Goes. Did that give you the freedom and courage to tell, stories like in a different, like document, like write them down? I mean, because people can get up. I mean, you do improv. People get up and you do stand up, and I know you have to put that together and write that. But when you have something that says, anything goes, then you can really kind of, you can just let it happen. So did that free you up in a different kind of way, or did it like laser you in a different kind of way?
Yeah, within structure, there is freedom. So within the structure of Artistic New Directions is a theater company founded by Christine Niven, and Jeffrey Sweet is, one of the playwrights, and Janice Goldberg is the co-artistic director now. And so it's a place where when I was there, practicing all the time, and I still love all the stuff that they do, and I'm still a big supporter. But when I was working there regularly, it was anything that you wanted to bring. And Jeffrey Sweet was working a lot with Improvisor, way to a play techniques. 6 lines is one of his famous exercises that he's done with a lot of famous playwrights, where you just have to bring 6 lines of a conversation. So anything can go from there, right? So if you just bring in your 6 lines and start an improv from there. So we were really encouraged to write. There's been times that Anything Goes where if you just signed up for a slot and you didn't have anything, you could just go be yourself in the space. I mean, that sounds a little flaky, right? But that's the purest, right? So everything
that's like being
I
on
do.
a space, and then like because I've done my, you do start to repeat. If you're in there, you start repeating, or you just have an action and you start walking around space, looking at stuff. Somebody can walk in and go, "What are you doing?" What are you doing? And something can happen. I mean, you just don't know. Exactly.
And Gary Austin, I met through Artistic New Directions. Michael Gelman, who was Second City. Gary Austin was the founder of the Groundlings. And Gary, I learned a lot from him in terms of directing and comedy directing. I started working with a couple of kids that were trying to get on the mod teams at UCB. I started working with people who were trying to get their SNL improvs together using his techniques to build comic characters and comic scenarios, and he has this one thing where you're just being alive in the space, but being alive in the space and giving yourself the permission to be who you are is an exploration of self. So you find out who you are and what you're made of once you've dropped your cheesy creator, right? Once your performer's out of the way and he knows you're there, she knows you're safe, then you really just start to be in discovery for yourself. And so that was the place where, so now that's the basis for everything that I do as a writer, director, actor, producer. And that's probably where they called it a hyphenate at the time. That's how I wrote my first pilot. I mean, that's how I did my first pilot. I interviewed characters, and then I built a scenario. And that's the one you did in your own building too, right? You did everything in the building. So that was like Larry David. It was scenario-based improvisation, and I did that in 2009. And it was my first television production, and I shot it in my basement for $0 during the 2009 when nobody was working.
And the money was in the tubes for people because of 2008, the crash.
Right, so everybody did it for free because nobody was working anyway. And so it went to the New York Television Festival and became the independent pilot. It was in like an independent pilot competition. So it was my first thing out of the gate, and it went well.
It was really good, yeah.
But it was using the Artistic New Directions techniques and learning the improvisation method from Second City and the Groundlings. That's the inductive logic where I learn in the moment. You tell me who I am. And then the deductive logic of the actor's studio method where I have a script and I'm deducing who my character is from everything that I already have the full puzzle, and I'm trying to figure it out.
So those two blends make it really.
So when you put those two things together, you have really live active theater, and that's sort of what I do. That's the push-pull.
Exactly.
Makes it fun.
Now, I know last year you were in LA pitching. Oh, we have 2 minutes left. and it seems like that's your focus now. You know, like
Yeah.
you want to be in the writer's room and room where it happens, or you want to make the thing that happens